Firstly, press the menu button and go to trigger. So you can use the left and middle buttons underneath the screen to move up and down. So move to trigger and then press enter. Now what we need to do first is we need to make sure that the pad type is correct. If you have recently set your kit up, then hopefully we can assume that unless you change something, the pad type is already correct. But just in case you need to do this, move down to pad type, press enter, and just make sure that the pad type shown on the screen is the same as the one you are hitting at the time. So in this case, XP120, that is exactly what I've got here. Now, everything I'm going to do here, you need to repeat with all the pads on the kit. That's very important. But once you've done it, it's done and you don't have to worry about it. And then come down. So first, we need to set the gain. The gain is how loud the pad is into the module. And this is very, very important. If your gain is set correctly, when you play quietly, you'll get a quiet sound out of the module. When you play hard, you'll get a loud sound out of the module. If it's set too low, when you play quietly, you'll get a quiet sound, but it will never get to full volume. So we will always feel like it can do more, but it can never quite reach it. So that's if the gain is set too low. If the gain is set too high, it gets loud too quickly, and all the notes sound like they're too loud. So you want to get it in the middle. So what we need to do is, you can see here I've got the gain on 1. Now if I press the bottom right-hand button underneath the screen, where it says TRG, I can see how hard I'm hitting by looking at the L box and the V box at the top of the screen. So if I were to hit my hardest hit, it's automatically going up to 127 in the V, top right. So what you need to do is you need to hit the pad that you're working on, and you need to make sure it goes all the way up to 127, or just about to 127. So if you need to change this, you press the exit button and you increase the gain or decrease the gain just using the plus and minus buttons. So for me, I know this is already set correctly. The gain is on 1. So when I hit it hard, it goes almost or all the way up to 127. So when that is set, you press exit and you come down to minimum level. Now, this is the level at which below this, everything is ignored. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hit my lightest hit. And then I'm going to bring this up. I don't know if you can hear this, until the module makes no more sound. You might be able to hear me tapping the pad in the background, but the module is not making any drum sound. That's because I've raised the minimum level so that the module is ignoring everything below this level. So I'm just going to back it off a little bit until I can hear the snare drum sound from the module in the background over the speakers, which is roughly around about there. Okay, I don't need to worry about max level. I don't need to worry about anything else. Then what I do is I press exit and I go up to the curve. Press enter. Now this is how quickly the pad gets from quiet to loud, and whether it gets up quicker towards the start or quicker towards the end. It's a very, very personal choice, this. So if you come down to normal, the harder you hit, the louder the sound. But you might feel it's not really responding how you want it to. So what I'd suggest is try loud 1 first. Or loud 2. And what these are is they actually make the quieter notes louder. And so there's a slightly reduced dynamic range. We don't need to worry too much about this. It's just whatever feels right. You might find hard is the right one. So you would use hard if you're a harder player and you're normally hitting all of your notes quite hard. If you're a lighter player, you'd probably want to pick one of the louds, loud 1 or loud 2, and that will increase the volume of the quieter notes, so it'll make it more natural for the lighter player. But you haven't just got these. If I go on here, it might be worth having a look at the spline curves, which are the ones which start with SPL. There's SPL 1, and there's 5 of those, and there's also SPL 2, and there's 5 of those. And you need to find the one which suits your playing. Now, you might end up with a different velocity curve on all the different pads. It doesn't matter, you're just setting it up for you. But the main things are setting the gain, so on your hardest hit, it just about gets up to 127. Then setting the minimum level so that it ignores everything which is quieter than you're playing. And then setting the curve, the velocity curve. You need to do it in that order. And when you've set it for one pad, you can just press the kit button and come back, and that will have saved your settings. So that's how you need to set it up. Set the gain, set the minimum level, and then set the curve. And then you need to do that for every single pad on the kit.